Hello. Um, so Halloween craft kits have been weirdly annoying to find lately. I don't know why, but I did find these three little guys. I'm going to make all three of them. I don't know if I'm going to show me making all three of them. That will depend entirely on how long the footage is. So yeah. I do also have one of those paint sculpture things that I'm debating on if I'm going to do or not. Because the problem is it's going to take forever. And I have to pre-record all of this, which means that I don't particularly have forever given the time period in which I am pre-recording things. I know, how dare I break the illusion that I'm doing it like all in the same day or whatever. So yeah. We will go ahead and just cut to the opening and the making portion, and then I can cut in at the end to do the whether or not these are good things or not. They look pretty dang basic. I guess I should open them. I should open the one at least to see if they come with the needle, because they're supposed to be like all inclusive or whatever. Okay, yeah, they come with the little tiny plastic needle. That is the world's tiniest little plastic needle. Alright, cool. Don't drop that, because it will be gone forever if you drop it. Yeah. Oh, it looks like they just made the hat a sticker. Alright. Anyway, time to play the game of I look at the instructions and then make the thing. And you get to watch. Yeah, it is a basic. Is a basic. Alright, neat. Anyway, we're going to cut and we're going to get to that part where I do the thing. Alright, I am cutting in here really quickly because 'tis important to note that this thingy, this doodly-doo, is a little messed up. I did these in order of what I assumed would be the easiest to what I assumed would be the hardest. I was correct, obviously, because that's just how this goes. So one, the instructions show that we should have 3 sequins, and I only have 2, which that's not a big deal. I have plenty of sequins that I can replace it with. I don't particularly care. The issue might be, though, that it shows here that there's supposed to be holes in the beard. There are no holes in the beard for the pumpkin to go into. Fortunately, this little plastic needle is sharp enough to pierce through this fabric. Just not very easily. Unfortunately, that means it's going to take longer than I thought it was going to, which is fair. It also means that I kind of just have to guess as to where I want the pumpkin, which is probably for the best, because I think I want the pumpkin more in the middle of the beard, whereas this shows the pumpkin off to the side of the beard. Although I guess that means that one of these arms is going to be a little bit too long. But, you know, I want to be able to see the beard. And in this one, the pumpkin is covering most of the beard. I don't like that. So, on one end, the kit is slightly messed up. On the other hand, it gives me slightly more creative freedom. Anyways, if the little plastic needle decides to not work, I do have regular needles that I will just use as one does. I know I keep cutting in here. Kind of want to do this now, so I'm probably doing this wrong. But I want to address that these instructions for this one specifically, the other ones didn't have this, mind you. But this one specifically, because it's being a slightly more, more muchness, specifies specific stitches that you're supposed to use, and then proceeds to not really tell you how to do the stitch. And these are supposed to be like beginner friendly, all-inclusive kits, and like they show you like the hell am I supposed to get from that as to how you're supposed to do it, and what am I supposed to get from that as to how I'm supposed to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and say, if you know what you're doing and you are, I guess, more trained on how to do this and know what the names of all the stitches are and whatever, great, go for it, get the thing. However, if you are one of those people, I don't know why you would be bothering to buy one of these kits unless, I guess, they are kind of color book adjacent. As in, like, oh, I already know what I'm doing, so it's easier if it's already cut out and I just have to fill in the pattern, I guess. So that's thing one. Thing two is that, See, like here it says, hey, use a a French stitch or whatever to make a French knot to make the dots on the thing, but it does not tell you how to make a French knot. It's just like, hey, it should look like 3 little swirly things. And I'm like, that's great. What? Because I was not trained I was not trained how to do sewing. All of the sewing that I know how to do is by me literally just picking up a needle and thread and going, I'm gonna make this up. Which, yes, is a skill issue, but also, if you're going to include a plastic needle, right, that implies that you're making this for a child who cannot be trusted with a metal needle, especially since all of the holes are also already poked, because you're giving us a plastic needle. So, if you're going to do that, you should include instructions on how to do each of the different things that you're telling us to do. I feel like that makes sense. So, on that note, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know I'm doing this wrong. But this is how I'm doing this pumpkin, since one, I have to wrestle with the fact that I have no holes that are already pre-done. And 2, I'm wrestling with the stupid plastic needle. And yes, I could, in fact, grab one of my metal needles. I could. That defeats the purpose of a kit that's supposed to include, quote, everything you need, unquote. So, I'm going to go ahead and show y'all how I'm doing this in case you, for some reason, pick up this little gnome quit and are wondering, hey, why? And they're like, hey, this beard doesn't have holes in it. So I'm going in through the hole, right? And I'm just kind of stabbing in through the next hole. And you gotta be careful, not like massively careful, but this needle is still sharp. It'll come out through the back here. And now, what I'm doing is just looping it into the old stitch, so that way it stays tight. And then pushing it right back through this first hole. And I'm sure that's an actual technique, and someone in the comments is going to be like, yeah, you're literally just doing this stitch, it doesn't matter. Or somebody is going to be like, yeah, that's how a running stitch works, even though that's literally not even close to how it's shown on this stupid little thing. But yeah, I just do that. I've just done that, and I'm just continuing to do that since they decided to not put holes in the beard like they said they were going to. And I'm far too stubborn to get my own needle. And this is giving me the nice line that they want. I feel like someone is going to be like, yeah, that's how you do this. Or alternatively, someone's going to be like, you're doing this the hard way and you're supposed to do it however. Well, they did not include very good instructions. And if you're like me and you've been trained on how to do literally none of this, this is just what you're gonna. This is what I'm doing. I don't know what else to tell y'all. I may as well include my reviews for the rest of them while I'm arguing with this, though, since I'm here. Oh, that's another one. Oh, when I get to where I have to switch rows, I'm coming in and pre-baking my hole in the front using the hole that's in the pumpkin. So that way I know I'm putting in the correct location on the other side. That's the other thing. These needles are far too small, like short. But see, that way, boom, now there's a hole there. Which means now I can go in from here and pop out where I need to. Anyways, the other two kits were actually very good. The cat did a similar thing where it was like, in order to include the whiskers, do this weird knot that we're not going to show you how to do. And you're supposed to have 3 whiskers. And I'm like, 1, 3 seems like way too many given how thick these whiskers are. And 2, I'm going to do this a significantly easier way because it feels like you're overcomplicating this. So, that one I also technically did wrong. And you can go ahead and fight me about it later, I guess. So, as I suspected, the pumpkin was in fact the easiest one because it's literally just, hey, wrap around it. Whatever. That didn't take much. All in all, these kits are fun. They are providing me with, I mean, I guess I did 3 of them in like, it's been about an hour, right around there. So, if you want like something small and cute that doesn't take much time, and they also do include extra material, like at least the cat and the pumpkin each included a whole extra set of thread, I guess, in case you break your thread for the first one, or for going through it. And the cat actually had way more stuffing than necessary. And it looks like the gnome might too. The pumpkin is a little bit understuffed, but that's probably because you don't really particularly need stuffing in a witch hat. I've been doing it slightly differently than it says. Again, shocker. I've been putting on a lot of the decals before I add stuffing. I say decals. I've been putting on a lot of the felty sticker things before stuffing, because it's easier to put them on and line them up before you stuff them. The exception to that obviously being the jack-o'-lantern, because the hat covers your sewing holes. So yeah. I would say the other 2 were a solid, like, 10 out of 10. If you want, like, a quick, like, 10 to 20 minute craft. And that's also going to depend on how long it takes for you to, like, actually do the sewing and how distracting you are and everything else. But this one is not giving very clear instructions on what to do and how to do it. So this one I will have to give you a rating after I've actually completed it. Because as of right now, it's not doing particularly well. And I've only just started it, so, like, honestly, given that everything else has been stickers for the rest of these 3, and they didn't for the other 2, and they didn't include things like extra, like, and I'm not complaining about extra work or whatever. What I'm complaining about slightly is their lack of correct instruction and their assumption that you already know what you're doing. That is the thing that I'm complaining about. The fact that they assume that you should already know what you're doing is really where the problem comes in. Alright. So, you may have noticed I ran into yet another freaking issue with this one, and I ended up having to switch to the metal needle regardless of my general stubbornness. I pointed it out in the video, but like basically right after I went back to recording and I was putting the pieces together, I noticed that the top part of this front piece had no holes in it. The top part of the green had no holes in it in order for me to do this stitching portion that it wanted me to do. So, I ended up just giving up and using the metal needle. Now, doing that allowed me to just do these quick little tiny stitches instead of trying to figure out how to do the knots that it decided to not tell me how to use. I did attempt to do knots with the first two. I didn't like how they looked. And then being at the bottom it was okay for them to be bigger, but I didn't want them more at the top, so I just kind of didn't. I decided to keep this little thread of embroidery thread, though, because I think it's cute. It kind of looks like a little vine sticking out of the top of the pumpkin. Anyway, aside from that, This one was, I'm gonna be honest, this one looks cute, yes. Was it worth the annoyance, especially if you're one, a beginner, and two, you are like out and about and you don't have a metal needle on you in order to do the thing correctly, since it not include all of the holes that it required? Probably not. I certainly would have been far more annoyed if I didn't just, happen to keep needles right on my desk at all times in case something happens. So yeah, I would highly recommend these two. Obviously, there's a whole lot more of these. I think there was a total of like 10 different designs. These are just the 3 that I chose. So, what I would suggest is look at the picture that it includes on the front and then go from there. If it looks like something within your skill level, assume that it will likely be slightly under that. Because, like, none of these are stitched on. These are all just stickers, felt stickers. None of this is stitched on. It's felt stickers and the white things. But if it looks stitched on like this, assume that it actually is probably the best way to do it. Yeah. Anyway, these two, highly recommend. These two were simple, easy. These two were fun. This one, I would say, not for someone who's just starting off doing something. And make sure you have a regular needle on hand. All in all, these ones, 10 out of 10. These ones this one immediately gets knocked points for not having inclusive directions, and not being a complete set, as in it wasn't fully finished. The pieces were not fully finished. So this one's probably closer to a 7 on 10, even though it does look cuter. I just don't know if it looking cuter is worth the fact that it wasn't finished in its entirety. Anywho, toodaloo. Nope.